else can work it out, then you get a prize. But they're good as well. They support women in the workplace. It's something like capacity, capability, capacity. Maureen wins. She's my plant, so Anisha's there. Anisha's going to help. So this is the 108th year of International Women's Day. That's pretty awesome. 108 is an auspicious number in various different cultures, including mine. I'm not quite sure what that culture is, but it's something green. I am Jenny Green. I will be your hostess for this evening. Most of you probably know me already. Women's Day actually started as a working women's movement. Hey! And so I dedicate my work this evening to my mother, who is my favourite working woman. It came out of a strike, general strike by garment workers here in New York City in 1908, in February. And then the very next year, in 1909, there was another march to commemorate it. And then the first countries and nations to adopt it as an official holiday, I think, were the socialist countries. Russia adopted it in 1917, and then until 1977 it was mainly socialist nations that adopted it, and some nations today have it as a national holiday, and some have it just as a national holiday for women. So that's nice for them, isn't it? In 1977, the United Nations finally thought it would be good to recognise it as an international day of note. And then I think in 1996 the International Women's Day Foundation adopted campaign themes, and this year's theme is Be Bold for Change, and there are various things I think on the table, and I'll read a couple out later about how you can be bold for change yourselves. And it's all about obviously encouraging and deepening gender parity, because we're still quite a long way from there, unfortunately. So but yes, with the current movements that are going on, especially in New York and around the rest of the United States, hopefully we'll get a lot more momentum behind what has been a growing and burgeoning movement for a number of years. And we here tonight are here to celebrate women artists in particular. So let's move on with our fabulous selection of nations. The first one is Bangladesh, which is being represented by Rami Rahi, who is an artist inspired by the intensity of human emotion. I'm not going to read her bio because I'm presuming that you can all read, even the men. One time you can be officially sexist, isn't it? I love men. So Rory is actually commemorating or honouring her mother, who is here this evening somewhere, I think, who is a poet who was born in Sila, and that is Shahanuka Hassan Shikar? Yes. Sorry, I should check. So yes, here is Rory.
So great. Are you using a mic? Can you hear me? Okay. Just a second. Okay, thanks, Jenny. I'm going to read two poems by an incredibly talented poet from Bangladesh, Shahanuka Hassan Shikar, who's my mother. And so the first, I'm going to read the poem first in Bangla, the language that it was written in, so you can hear it, and then I'll read it in English, which was translated, so it's, you know, it's not exactly, you like lose meaning when you translate something. So the first poem is about liberation. I think this poem was written like keeping the Bangladeshi liberation in mind, and the second one is about women. So I'll read the first one in Bangla first. স্বাধীনতা তুমি কোথায় আলোকবিহীন সাজঘর কোলাহলহীন ধূসর প্রান্তর শূন্যতার এক পাহাড় দাঁড়িয়ে আছে মাথা উঁচু করে ডানা ভাঙা প্রজাপতিরা ঘুম ঘুম ভাব পারছে না উঠতে অদূরে সারিবদ্ধ আর্তনাদ বাঁচাও 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 বাতাসে ভেসে বেড়ায় আত্মঘাতী বোমার ঝাঁক বেদনার রঙে রঙিন হয় নীল আকাশ ভারী হয় বাতাস দেশের আপামর জনতা ছুটছিল মুক্তির নেশায় বুকের তাজা রক্ত দিয়ে রক্তের নদী বয়ে এলো স্বাধীনতা আজ কোথায় সে স্বাধীনতা জঙ্গিবাদ হায়নার স্বৈরচারিতা Read the translated version. Liberty, where are you? A dark dressing room, a horizon with no sound or dissonance, a mountain filled with emptiness, standing firm, head high, sleepy butterflies with broken wings can't fly. Help, save us, help, are lined up cries heard nearby. A fleet of suicidal scuds roaming on air, the sky wears colors of grief, air heavier. The country's mass, we're marching for freedom and sovereignty, one victory at a cost of blood. Where is that freedom today? Oh, liberty, where are you? It's only terrorist, heinous atrocities all around. The second poem is called Ek Nari in Bangla. Ami ek অসহায় অবলা নারী, আমাকে দিতে হবে বিষাদ সিন্ধু পারি, আমাকে দিতে হবে অগ্নি পরীক্ষা, প্রমাণ করতে হবে আমি সতী সাবিত্রী সীতা, সইতে হবে শত জ্বালা শত অপমান, রাখতে হবে সমাজের মান সম্মান, স্ত্রী হয়ে সইতে হবে শারীরিক নির্যাতন, প্রেমিকা হয়ে মানতে হবে মানসিক জ্বালাতন। তারপরও কি পাবো আমি সেই পুরুষের মন, সমাজসেবী স্লোগানধর্মী মহাজ্ঞানী মহাজন? So it's in English, it's called One Woman. Vulnerable, feeble a woman I am to cross over the despotin stream. It is I am to confess all vicious acts, to prove that I am a chaste, virgin, pure, alas. I am to bear all twinges, slurs, and veins, to uphold societal pride, honor atop cliffs. It is I am only to endure all assaults, being a wife, to admit, accept tortures, being a sweetheart. Will I ever be winning the heart of a man whose slogans and disguise as great, eminent, and profound? Thank you.
Thank you, Rahi. I've not got enough hands. So the next artist doesn't really need very much of an introduction, but she's got to just prepare herself briefly. So I was examining my favourite feminist texts a little bit earlier, and I just thought I'd share a little bit with you from The Vindication of the Rights of Women, which I'm sure most of you know off by heart, by Mary Wollstonecraft, who wrote in, it was first published in 1792. So actually, pleasingly, as I was going through it, trying to find something that was relevant and interesting to read, it was quite hard, because lots of things that she was hoping for have actually kind of been achieved, so we have made some progress. Supposing for a moment that the soul is not immortal, and that man was only created for the present scene, I think we should have reason to complain that love, infantine fondness, ever grew insipid and palled upon the sense. Let us eat, drink, and love, for tomorrow we die, would be, in fact, the language of reason, the morality of life. And who but a fool would part with a reality for a fleeting shadow? But if awed by observing the improbable powers of the mind, we disdain to confine our wishes or thoughts to such a comparatively mean field of action that only appears grand and important as it is connected with a boundless prospect and sublime hopes, what necessity is there for falsehood in conduct? And why must the sacred majesty of truth be violated to detain a deceitful good that saps the very foundation of virtue? Why must the female mind be tainted by coquettish arts to gratify the sensualist and prevent love from subsiding into friendship, or compassionate tenderness, when these are not qualities on which friendship can be built? Let the honest heart show itself, and reason teach passion to submit to necessity, or let the dignified pursuit of virtue and knowledge raise the mind above those emotions which rather embitter than sweeten the cup of life, when they are not restrained within due bounds. I'll be asking questions about that. And now we have Canada. kind of the US as well, but it's for the purposes of this evening, it's Canada, represented by the fabulous Christine Dixon, who is paying homage to the one and only Harriet Tubman.
When folks get on board, it is always nighttime. When they get off, it is such a bright time. 'Cause my train is headed for freedom. My train, y'all better clap with me. My train is headed for sunshine. My train. My train is headed for sunshine. My train. My passengers had enough of sadness. They're going where they will find some gladness. 'Cause my train is headed for freedom. My train. In 1850, when Congress passed the Fugitive Slave Law Act, I had to bring my fugitives, my slaves, up to Canada because this law stated that no free state could harbor or shelter any escaped slaves in the USA. Now my mother and father, they were the last people that I ever brought to freedom in my family. I freed over 5,000 people, but if you Google it, it only says that I've rescued 300. So now, I'm so grateful to all the journeys that I took. Queen Victoria actually said, come on up to Canada and leave your worries behind. Come on up to Canada where you will have peace of mind. Because when folks get on board, it's always nighttime. When they get off, it is such a bright time. 'Cause my train is headed for freedom.
Well, that almost made Mary Wollstonecraft seem a bit boring. Fabulous, and of course representing all of the people of Africa as well as America, the USA and Canada. Our next wonderful artist is Ma, who is working on her solo performance and is a singer and activist and actor, and she is honouring another fabulous woman artist, this time from Cuba, and it is Celia Cruz.
Thank you very much for coming out tonight. My English is not really good, but I'm so happy to see you all here. And now we're going to play some music, yes. And thank you for coming. Please play this. Did you know the lights? Did you know the lights?
Hey,
are, you can see her on a Saturday night all over New York City, probably. I plagiarised the Independent's website to find some inspirational quotes for International Women's Day. The first one that I have for you is from Katharine Hepburn, who said, I don't think I can do a Katharine Hepburn impression, but she said something like, "I have not lived as a woman. I have lived as a man. I've done just what I damn well wanted to. And I've made enough money to support myself and ain't afraid of being alone." Good old Katharine Hepburn. And the next nation and artist that we'll be celebrating this evening is the Czech Republic, through the person of Laura Arter, who is originally from London but was born in Prague. And Laura is honouring Toyen, is that how you pronounce it? Toyen, who is a transgender artist also from Prague, who is a painter and illustrator and all-round fabulous artist.
Hi, thank you so much. Because she was a painter first and foremost, I decided to just lend her my voice and kind of use my filmmaking skills to step out of the picture and give that to her. She fascinated me since childhood actually, so I'm really glad I was invited to look back at Prague and Czech Republic and rediscover Toyen.
All lights off if I can ask.
I was born in the golden city of the thousand spires, the very heart of Europe. Prague was a cultural hub at the time of my birth in 1902. I left home young, at 16. To make a living, I was working in a soap factory while studying art. Soon I abandoned both school and my birth identity of Marie Černínova. I joined the Surrealist group in Prague and successfully started to publish my work as well as exhibit. I rejected the tolerism of genders, becoming a fully sexualized being, a persona free from restraints of gender divisions and rules. Sexuality was the signature language of my work. Since early years, erotic imagery and passionate paintings were my staple, as ambivalent as me. Of ambiguous gender and sexual orientation, I would wear both masculine and feminine attire throughout my life. In early 20s, I started to travel to Paris regularly, becoming close with André Breton and the French Surrealist group. My visual rhetoric aligned with Surrealist belief in sexuality as a liberatory force. I illustrated books such as Marquise de Sade's Justine and erotic review magazine. The more famous my art, the more mysterious my private life. It was always a great secret whether me and my artistic partner of over a decade were also lovers or merely collaborators and comrades. Now what shall I do? The Second World War killed any artistic freedom and I had to go in hiding. Avant-garde suppressed by Nazi agenda. My long-term partner dying of alcohol abuse. I had only one close friend left. He was Jewish, and I was hiding him in my apartment for 4 long years, until we ran to Paris in 1947 to never return. 3 men claim to have given me my mysterious name, my artistic identity. Yet, I never took a man's name for my own. I never married, and my artwork were my only children. I died in Paris quietly, my art living forever on. I am Toyen.
Did that look nice? Yes. So, our next artist was supposed to be representing jolly old England, Emily Eden, but she made the mistake of wanting to bring a male guitarist on stage with her for International Women's Day, and so unfortunately we had to lock her up. So she's in prison, and I realised, oh, I'm English, so I could do. She was going to honour Julie Andrews. So I apologise to Julie Andrews and indeed to Emily Eden. But maybe we can make this into a fun audience participation, sing-along section maybe. In every job that is to be done, there is an element of fun. You find the fun and snap, the job's a game. And every task you undertake becomes a piece of cake, a lark, a spree, it's very clear to see that a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down, the medicine go down, medicine go down. Just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down in the most delightful way. And how about if we go diddly diddly dum. There's a special version of this which I picked up at the Women's March in Washington, which I think we're going to have a little bit of help with. It goes. Do you want your paper? Follow along. Supercalifragilisticextrabraggadocious. Even though he's president, he really is atrocious. If he tries loud enough, what was that?
I don't know.
He really is atrocious. Supercalifragilisticextrabraggadocious. That was all done with the power of half a fisherman's friend and completely unrehearsed. You either got it or you ain't. So the next actual artist who will be honouring somebody better than I just did is Sophie Malloret, who is honouring sYmphoNY for France. And Simone was the first black woman surrealist. So I'll let Sophie tell you more.
I had a passion for yoyote, I have to say. Yoyote was from Martinique, which is not exactly France, although we kind of invaded it. So I'll do the French. I don't know if you need English because it's really I'll do English. It's really based on sound, but so that's pyjama speed. Mon pyjama gilt with azure and bois colombe, tranquil atmospheres and dance. The pavane of silence and dew. I am moved. So be it. But no, and if I departed softly and the river country on myself lightly, and I smile. My pyjama gilt and embroidered with myself spear, and worst of all, gilt with azure, my pyjama balls of armor gilt with azure, so-called bois colombe and dew, and you've made it. Pyjama vitesse. Mon pyjama doré d'azur et bois colombe, les atmosphères tranquilles et denses, la pavane du silence est juive. Et danse, et danse, et danse, et danse, et danse. Je m'émeus, soit, mais non. Et si je partais douce, et le pays rivière, et le pays rivière, et le pays rivière de moi, même légère, et je souris, je souris. Mon pyjama doré est brodé de moi, lance, 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 et puis que tout doré d'azur, mon pyjama bonjoint un marteau, doré d'azur, doré d'azur, doré d'azur, dit bois colombe, bois colombe, bois colombe. Et je suis, et vous y êtes, et vous y êtes, et vous y êtes. Et vous y êtes.
Fabulous, thank you. So I mentioned earlier about this year's campaign theme for International Women's Day, which is being bold for change. So let's just see how you can actually do that. You can go onto their website and sort of register your interest, but they've divided it into sections, and so you have to sort of make a commitment however you might choose to do that. And the first one is that you'll challenge bias and inequality. And you can do that, ladies and gentlemen, by querying all male speaking panels. Pull people up on exclusive language. You can challenge stereotypes, call it out when women are excluded, monitor the gender pay gap, and then give women money. Point out bias and highlight alternatives. initiatives. And he can call for diverse candidate shortlists, and he can embrace inclusive leadership, and then that way you can redefine the status quo. So that's how you can challenge bias and inequality and make a pledge to do so. Our next nation this evening is Germany, and that is being honoured by the fabulous Elisabeth Galinas, who is honouring Julia Frank, who is a writer. Yes.
So I'm going to do this in German, so good luck to you. It's a very short story about a young girl who had a very short-lived relationship with her father, basically got through life on her own, 14 years old, and here we go. Der Anruf kam, als ich 14 war. Ich wohnte schon seit einem Jahr nicht bei meiner Mutter und meiner Schwester, sondern bei Freunden in Berlin. Die fremde Stimme meldete sich. Der Mann nannte seinen Namen, sagte, er lebte in Berlin und ob ich ihn kennenlernen wollte. Ich zögerte. Ich hatte schon oft nach solchen Verabredungen gehört, aber nun, als es soweit war, empfand ich Unbehagen. Wir verabredeten uns. Er trug eine Jacke, Jeans, Hose. Ich hatte mich geschminkt. Er führte mich ans Café Richter und wir sahen einen Film von Roma. Unsympathisch war er nicht, eher schüchtern. Er nahm mich mit ins Restaurant und stellte mich seinen Freunden vor. Ein feines, ironisches Lächeln zog sich zwischen ihn und den anderen Menschen. Ich ahnte, was das Lächeln war. Ich fragte mich, ob er mir Geld geben würde, wenn wir uns treffen, aber er gab mir keins. Und ich traute mich nicht, ihn zu fragen. Ja, schließlich kannte ich ihn ja kaum und was sollte ich da schon verlangen? Außerdem konnte ich mich auch selbst versorgen. Ich ging immerhin zur Schule, putzte und arbeitete als Kindermädchen. Und bald wäre ich schon alt genug, um Kellnerin zu werden und vielleicht würde ja auch dann was aus mir werden. 2 Tage später, wir waren uns immer noch etwas fremd, sagte er wäre krank. Es dauerte 1 Jahr, bis er starb. Ich besuchte ihn im Krankenhaus und fragte ihn, was sein letzter Wunsch wäre. Er fragte mich, ob ich ihm Morphium besorgen könne. Ich dachte nach, ich hatte einige Freunde, die Drogen nahmen, aber niemand, der sich mit Morphium auskannte. Ich vergaß seine Bitte. Manchmal brachte ich ihm Blumen. Er fragte nach Morphium und ich fragte ihn, welchen Kuchen er haben wollte. Schließlich wusste ich, wie gerne er Torte aß. Er sagte, die einfachen Dinge im Leben wären ihm jetzt wichtig. Und er wünschte sich nichts lieber als Streuselschnecken. Sonst nichts. Ich ging nach Hause und buk Streuselschnecken. 2 Bleche voll. Manchmal waren sie noch warm, als ich ihn in den Krankenhaus brachte. Er sagte, er hätte gerne mit mir gelebt. Es zumindest versucht. Aber er dachte immer, dafür wäre schon noch Zeit. Eines Tages. Aber es war zu spät. Kurz nach meinem 17. Lebensjahr starb er. Meine kleine Schwester kam nach Berlin und wir gingen zur Beerdigung. Meine Mutter kam nicht. Sie hatte Besseres zu tun. Und außerdem kannte sie ihn nicht wirklich gut und geliebt hatte sie ihn auch nicht. Danke.
Was it about the sound of music?
Yes.
It sounded lovely. Thank you, Liz, honouring Julia Frank there. Another inspirational quote pilfered from the Independent website today is from the writer-activist Betty Friedan. Does anybody know who she is?
Friedan.
Yeah?
It's Friedan.
Her. And she says, no woman gets an orgasm from shining the kitchen floor. On your knees, men. Do it. Right, moving swiftly on. Greece. is being honoured today by Antigone Gaetana.
Yes.
And she is honouring one of the first female artist agents in Greece, Pia Haginciou Angelinis.
Almost.
One of my best friends is Greek Cypriot. She'd.
When you're ready. From 1912 to 1949, Greece was involved in consecutive wars. In 1952, for the first time, women were granted the right to vote and be elected. It is within these socio-political circumstances that Pia Haginciou Angelinis created the first artist agency to be run by a woman in 1959. Pia Agency brought to Greece many artistic treasures, among them the No Theatre of Japan, American composer Samuel Barber, German composer Karl Orff, the Living Theatre, Europe's most acclaimed ballet companies and string quartets. She traveled extensively and curated exhibitions in Greece and abroad, with an emphasis given to national themes, customs and diversities. She also led Greek artists to international venues and recognition. Pia Haginciou Angelinis is a deeply educated, multilingual woman with multidisciplinary interests, but most importantly, she had always possessed an unmistakable inner compass for quality, innovation, and building foundations for future generations. She conceived arts as the ultimate means of communication between nations, and in 1984 founded the non-profit foundation Angelinis Haginciou and created an international summer festival in the idyllic seaside village of Horto in South Pelion, Greece. Since then, the Horto Summer Festival has been hosting orchestras, theatre and dance companies, exhibitions, folk groups, pedagogues and mentors in the fields of music, theatre and dance. Her idea was to mingle the local artistic and rural population with exceptional representatives of the international artistic scene, and together to reinvent the purpose of making art. All of the aforementioned were realized with minimal government funding and by using her family assets and property. Even though the financial means have been exhausted, the flame still burns strong inside this remarkable 97-year-old woman and inspires the younger generations to continue her work. I am very honored to be part of the foundation for the last 7 years and to be directing this summer at Horto, Riders to the Sea, by Vaughan Williams, an opera which celebrates female courage and strength. Thank you.
Thank you, Antigone. So we've just got a couple more artists left before our intermission, and exciting things will be happening in that general area, hopefully involving your wallet. Let's have a quick look again at the Being Bold for Change statements and activities that you can engage in to try and effect more gender parity. So the second thing on the International Women's Day website is to pledge to campaign against violence. And you can do this by educating youth about positive relationships, challenging those who justify perpetrators and blame victims. Donate to groups fighting abuse, speak out against the silence of violence, be vigilant and report violence, campaign for the prevention of violence, abstain from all violence, physical and otherwise. You know who you are. Volunteer your help at a local charity. Not sure how that specifically pertains to violence, but you know. And then you can recognise coercive control and redress it. So it's not really a joking matter. Violence, it is very real, and we can all do things to lessen it and its effects in our lives. Our next nation is Ireland, which is being honoured by wonderful Fiona Walsh, who is a DJ, and I was just reading here that she says that her favourite of all the serving roles that she's played, because she actually is for hire as a waitress, and she will have an orgasm on your kitchen floor. But her favourite of all of her serving roles is Mrs. Overall, which is very flattering to hear, Fiona. Thank you very much. Fiona will be honouring the wonderful Irish writer Edna O'Brien. Fiona Walsh.
So Edna was a bit of a stir back in the day. She's still around, but she wrote books that focused or had at their theme female Irish sexuality, which you can imagine in the 1950s and 60s was unheard of. So I encourage you to look her up. I tried to grab a little section from her short stories, The Love Object, and this is from the first story called The Love Object, so it's a little clip. It's a beautiful night. It's beautiful that you stayed all night, I said. He kissed me. He said he had never known anyone so sweet or so attentive. Encouraged, I began to do something very intimate. I heard his sighs of pleasure, the oi-oi of delight, when he was both indulging it and telling himself he mustn't. At first, I was unaware of his speaking voice. Hey, he said jocularly, just like that. This can't go on, you know. I thought he was referring to our activity at that moment, because of course it was late and he would have to get up shortly. Then I raised my head from its sunken position between his legs, and I looked at him through my hair, which had fallen over my face. I saw that he was serious. It just occurred to me that possibly you love me, he said. He put me lying down so that our heads were side by side, and he began, I adore you, but I'm not in love with you. With my commitments, I don't think I could be in love with anybody. It all started gay and light-hearted. The last few words offended me. It was not how I saw it or how I remembered it. I could not think of a single thing to say. I knew that if I spoke, I would be pathetic, so I remained silent. For weeks I waited for a reply to my letter, but there was none. I wrote another. This time it was a formal note, and with it I enclosed a postcard with the words, yes and no. I asked if he had received my previous letter to kindly let me know by simply crossing out the word which did not apply on my card. It came back with the word no crossed out, nothing else. There was something so brutal about the card, but then you could say I asked for it by approaching the situation in that way. I entered a black patch, and on the third day I lost control. His phone call came quite out of the blue. He asked if we could meet. I neither welcomed nor dreaded the thought. It would not make any difference to how I felt. That was the first time it occurred to me that all my life I had feared imprisonment, the nun's cell, the hospital bed, the places where one faced self without distraction, without the crutches of other people. But sitting here feeding him white sugar, I thought, now I have entered a cell, and this man cannot know what it is for me to love him the way I do, and I cannot weigh him down with it, because he is in another cell, confronted with other difficulties. We kept our promise. We do meet from time to time. You could say things are back to normal again. By normal I mean a state whereby I notice the moon, trees, fresh spit upon the pavement. I look at strangers and see in their expression something of my own predicament. There is a lamp in the bedroom that gives out a dry crackle each time an electric train goes by, and at night I count those crackles because it is the time he comes back. He rises before my eyes, his praying hands, his tongue that like to suck, his sly eyes, his smile and the veins on his cheeks, the calm voice speaking sense to me. I suppose you wonder why I torment myself like this with the details of his presence, but I need it. I cannot let go of him now, because if I did, all our happiness and my subsequent pain will have been for nothing, and nothing is a terrible thing to hold on to.
I thought I'd be a model, but you know. Yeah, would you like my hat? You can have this hat, which has been on my very head, which has a huge price on it. Somewhere, probably, no idea where. Yes, you can win this hat by entering our wonderful raffle. This hat has been generously donated by Parity Productions, one of our event sponsors, which is an organisation which is all about encouraging gender parity in theatre and promoting more works by women. So check out their website and indulge in the raffle. We also have another pussy hat, just for another excuse to say pussy live on stage. It's not here. Pussy. Very mature. So yeah, there's another one from Jade Zabrick and Sky Crescent, who are wonderful musicians. So I think we're going to have some of their music in the intermission as well. So there's another of their hats over there in the raffle, and there is also a book which has been generously donated by somebody else, by Ellen Snortland. It's called Beauty Bites Beast, and it's about women's self-defence. So you can buy a raffle ticket, get one of these fabulous prizes. I don't have any head lice, so it's actually a bonus to win this one. And also over there, we've got some nice wine and also a bit of a bake sale, including my exclusive Grasmere lavender gingerbread. I know, it's pretty exciting. So just one more fun fact before we have our final artist before the intermission. This one is from Nawal El-Sadawi, who is a writer on Islam and psychiatrist and writes on various other things as well. And she said, "You are a savage and dangerous woman. I'm speaking the truth, and the truth is savage and dangerous." There we go. So our final artist before the intermission is the wonderful Elena Grosso, who is from Italy, and she will be honouring Aurora Grosso, who is a French teacher and scholar and a writer in Italy.
Hello.
Hello.
Aurora is my aunt, and she was diagnosed with ALS about 1.5 years ago. Can you hear me? Yes. I don't know if you know what ALS is. It's also called the Lou Gehrig disease, and it affects about 6,000 people in the US every year. It's 100% fatal, and as of today there is no cure for it, and there's no particular knowledge on the reasons why people have this disease. So if you can, there is an association that is called the ALS Association that works with families that have this disease, and that helps just create awareness for this disease. And also they have a lot of programs and things that you can sign up for just to help people with this disease, because as I said before, it's 100% fatal and there is no cure. So my aunt started writing her memoir when she found out that she had this disease, and this is a piece of her memoir. About 1.5 years ago, I was diagnosed with ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. I kept working anyways because I could, with the help of a crutch. The disease started to move through my body, and without much warning, my second leg gave out, forcing me to use 2 crutches, then a wheelchair, and then I needed someone to take care of me. But I still could eat and drink, even with a lot of fatigue. And I still could go out, go to the bar, drink coffee, meet friends and acquaintances. I could talk with very little voice, but I could still talk. After 1.5 months, I had a heart attack, and then a tracheostomy. My body, thank you. My body was letting me down. I was suffocating, I was starving. I couldn't control anything. They put a little hole in my belly to help me eat, and another one to help me get rid of the waste. Under this condition, it was impossible to return home. I was trapped inside a body I no longer had control over. I had nothing to do but accept it. But this disease gave me time. Time I used to think and reflect on my life, and this is the reason why I'm writing to you. We live a life of doing projects. When I retire, I will go, I will buy, etc. And then you discover that life is what happens to you while you're postponing projects. I always thought that I would have liked to die of a sudden death. Now, I would have liked to have the time to say what I feel, give my things to those who wanted them, and do those things I always said I get to later. And here I am, satisfied, a rapid and inexorable disease. But with my mobility fading and so little time left to express myself, I write and I write and I write to you. Must we wait to go through the stark forest to say I love you, to overcome old grudges, to give something to your children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren? And how do you live without having dedicated some weekend to see the wonders that there are in Italy? We are strange strangers. We live a life that flows all around us and we look at it like it doesn't belong to us.
Professional theater women. And we have a wonderful new program this year. You got a little flyer about it when you came in. It's called WOWer. It's Writings of Women Refugees. And we're seeking out refugees all over the world. So if any of you know anybody in any country, doesn't matter, of any age, who might be interested in participating and answering the question, you know, my life as a refugee. We're going to collect all of these and put them together into a presentation piece. And the United Nations has already asked us to present this. And so we're a long way from there, though. So we have people on the ground in Beirut and in Egypt and in Syria. And we're looking for other countries. So if anybody knows of anybody, there's an email address down here, the very last thing, and you can email us and let us know.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Peggy. I was going to say that I'm a refugee.
Well.
From Brexit.
Even
worse over here, didn't it?
You're the one.
I might just go to some Martinique and hear some of that nice French poetry over there. Welcome back. I hope you all had a nice time. I was still trying to understand Mary Wollstonecraft, so I've got quite a bad headache now. Here's another inspirational quote for International Women's Day from one of my personal favourites, an alumna of my high school. Emmeline Pankhurst said, a native of Manchester, which is where I'm from, a proud refugee of Manchester. I want to say to you who think women cannot... Shall I read it in a Manchester accent?
Do it! Yeah!
She didn't. She's very middle class, unfortunately. She would never be having an orgasm. Well, she would have been having an orgasm on the kitchen floor because she wouldn't have been cleaning it. I want to say to you who think women cannot succeed, we have brought the government of England to this position. That is, it has to face this alternative. Either women are to be killed or women are to have the vote. And that was only 100 years ago, so you know we are standing in proud shoes and footsteps. Our next nation to be honoured this evening is Japan, with the wonderful Asako Takasaki, who will be honouring the Japanese opera singer Yoko Kishi. And you can read more about her in your programme. She was inspired by Edith Piaf. So a friendship there.
So I'm so honored to join tonight, wonderful International Women's Day. I'm a Miss Japan tonight. I would like to sing. I'd like to sing short song, but a beautiful song for you in Japanese. Hope you enjoy. 白く輝く花嫁衣装に心を隠した美しいその姿その目にあふれる一筋の涙を私は知っているアーベマリア祭壇の前に立ち偽りの愛を誓い十字架に口づけして神の許しを願うその目にあふれる一筋の涙を私は知っているアーベマリアアーベマリアありがとうございます。Thank you very much. I just to say, I just find out my dress inside out. Because 5 minutes ago, I just arrived here and then quickly changed out there and then yeah, this is my very first time performing in my life inside out. It's a good day. Thank you.
I thought I had my skirt tucked in my knickers when I came out. Anyway, so we are slightly emancipated, I suppose, if we could wear our clothes inside out and tucked into our boots. That was the wonderful Asako there, honouring Yoko Kishi, who also overcame illness to perform. So another great story there that you can read more about in your fascinating programme. Thank you to Maureen Van Treys for producing our programme with Maggie Cousins over in England. That is a real good job. So they look fabulous, so thank you. Our next artists are from Korea, and we're very excited to welcome some real K-pop. Are you K-pop? I think they're quite good. And it's, is it Lukisi Toki?
Lucite Toki.
Lucite Toki. Yeah. My Korean's not very good. I like Korean food. So whilst they just set up, we have Jae and Young are the singers in Lucite Toki. I've just found another fascinating passage from A Vindication of the Rights of Women. I speak of the improvement and emancipation of the whole sex, for I know that the behaviour of a few women who, by accident or following a strange bent of nature, have acquired a portion of knowledge superior to that of the rest of their sex, has often been overbearing. But there have been instances of women who, attaining knowledge, have not discarded modesty, nor have they always pedantically appeared to despise the ignorance which they labour to disperse in their own minds. The exclamations then which any advice respecting female learning commonly produces, especially from pretty women, often arise from envy. When they chance to see that even the lustre of their eyes and the flippant sportiveness of refined coquetry will not always secure them attention during a whole evening, should a woman of more cultivated understanding endeavour to give a rational turn to the conversation. The common source of consolation is that such women seldom get husbands. What art have I not seen silly women use to interrupt by flirtation? A very significant word to describe a manoeuvre. A rational conversation which made the men forget that they were pretty women. And here's something which is much more fun.
Hello, we are pop duo Toki from South Korea.
Hello.
And the song we are going to play is The Spirit and the Dream, which we wrote from Okbong Lee's poem. And Okbong Lee was a very talented person, but unfortunately she lived in a highly patriarchal society, and her husband prevented her from writing poems, and legend has it that led her to kill herself eventually. By singing this song, we want to honor and remember not only Okbong Lee, but also every women artists who suffered and struggled only because they were women. Yeah, thank you.
Next up, we have Mexico, but before we introduce our artists from there, let's look again at how you can be bold for change. So you can forge women's advancement by deciding to buy from companies that support women. You can choose to work for a progressive employer for women. You can support or back a woman-owned business. I think there are several people here that do that. And own businesses. You can take a junior female colleague to a major meeting or event. Ooh, special treat. You can build conducive, flexible work environments. You can appoint a woman to the board. You can mentor a woman and sponsor her goals. I'm looking for one of those. If anyone is on Broadway at the moment, I'd quite like to do that. You can invite women into situations where they're not already present. I'm not sure many of us would want to be in those sweaty old locker rooms. Unless Donald Trump's there, in which case you'd like to kick him in the nads. You can measure and report on gender parity gaps and keep gender on the agenda, and you can create the opportunities for women. So that's how you can be bold for change, by forging women's advancement. Our next nation to be honoured is Mexico, as I mentioned a little while ago, and the artist we have here this evening to honour is Valeria Avina, who is an actress, writer, producer and voice teacher, and she is, oh there she is, and she's honouring the wonderful Rosario Castellanos, who is a Mexican writer.
Yeah, yeah. Rosario Castellanos Figueroa. Imagine a woman in 1925. It was freaking amazing. Even though she died young, she opened the door of Mexican women to literature, to women, and left legacy that still resonates today. With a gesture of earth, I spread my arms. With a gesture of the earth, whose lap cradles all creatures, love raises me, sustains me, static as if in a great light, singing my destiny of root and my obedience. I do not seek the face of motherhood that overflows all measure. You do not seek a crowd of sons, but look upon my actions, springing forth like a thick and silent milk. This place I am like a sand with rivers, has long known visits from the sky. A whole procession of birds crosses my face, and I follow ecstatic, not feeling the stones that strike me, break me, reject me. I walk without measuring my strength or step. But I shall reach the sea, and the sky will fly beyond my grasp. Her fight is through words and through her art, and her fight came by embracing women's role in history and explaining them from the female point of view instead of the male. This is a short piece in Spanish. It's called Desamor. Me vio como se mira a través de un cristal, o del aire, o de nada. Y entonces supe, y yo no estaba ahí ni de ninguna otra parte. No había estado y nunca estaría. Y como fui el que muere en la epidemia sin identificar, y es arrugado en la fosa común. Rosario Castellanos Figueroa. She was a fucking woman.
Here's an inspiring quote from the writer Rebecca West, and she said, "I myself have never been able to find out precisely what a feminist is. I only know that people call me a feminist whenever I express sentiments that differentiate me from a doormat." Thank you. She was a Bloomsbury set person, so they do their stuff. Our next wonderful nation to be honoured is Morocco, which I think is the first time we've had Morocco at this event, so it's very exciting. We have the artist Hanan Banoudi, who I haven't met yet, so sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. And you're honouring Meluda Al-Hosseini. I'll let you do it.
Thank you. Hi everybody. So, let me look into the faces. So, I am from Morocco, originally from Morocco. I left Morocco at a young age to the Netherlands. And when I was asked to present an artist from Morocco, so I was thinking who I am going to present. So it was a little bit of thinking. So I wanted somebody to give meaning, like I give it meaning, and also people can give it also meaning. So I have chosen women from a region the same region I am originally from. And that region is from the north of Morocco. And it's a little bit reserved region. So these women started like singing. You can put lights. So these women started singing in the 70s. So it was a taboo. She started singing and dancing. So especially it was a tradition in Morocco, in that region. When somebody married, there is like a marriage party. So everybody is invited, and the musicians are hired, and like dancers and etc. are hired, and they go on the street and dance, and everybody having a very cozy time. But it was a taboo. Like she was dancing, and it was not allowed. It's nice to look to her dancing, but not to be like her. It was really taboo. So that's why I am choosing her to give her like a place and to shed light on her, and to honor her and to give her a place in this world as well. So she is a female from the north of Morocco, and she is very beautiful, I think. And she is from this beautiful city, from Al Hoceima. This is the city where she was born, where I was born myself. It's a beautiful city with very nice beaches and etc. And next. So this is where Al Hoceima is. It's in the north of Morocco, and here you have Europe. On this side you have the US. Oh yeah, so thank you for your attention, and I want you to listen to her song. Everybody is going to dance. I am sure. So prepare yourself. I hope it will work.
Yeah.
chosen her as well because she has preserved, by her singing, preserved the language heritage. So this is local, like not Arabic. This is language you learn like from your parents and you speak with your family. And she preserved that and also the cultural aspect of the dancing and the singing. Thank you so much.
What's the language called?
Tamazight.
Lack of communication.
Another day.
Tamazit.
Tamazight.
Tamazit.
Yes.
Anyway, so that was wonderful though, thank you so much. I was moving over there. I was inspired. So I failed to remember one of the names of one of the beneficiaries earlier and I found it in the programme, so I just thought I'd read it out to you. Catalyst is the leading global non-profit with a mission to accelerate progress for women through workplace inclusion, and they're dedicated to creating workplaces where employees representing every dimension of diversity can thrive, and they act as a catalyst, see what they did there, through pioneering research, tools and services, events and recognition programmes. Together, these offerings, coupled with over 50 years of experience, raise awareness of how inclusion benefits today's global businesses and provides guidance and solutions on how to enact real change. Catalyst invites women, men and organisations to join in building the inclusion that will change business, society and lives for the better. So that is one of the beneficiaries from this evening. So they sound like a pretty awesome organisation to me. Our next nation to be honoured is a Salon sYmphoNY favourite, both in terms of nation and the artist honouring them. It is Romania with Ella Verez, and she is honouring Herta Muller, who is a Romanian-born German writer. Ella Verez.
So Herta Müller is the 2009 Nobel Prize for Literature winner, and I don't remember in which year, she visited New York, and this is a fragment from her discussion, public discussion. She will be speaking here about The Hunger Angel, which is a novel that she wrote, is a first-person account of a man who was deported from his Romanian village in 1945 to a Soviet labor camp. And the novel work started as a collaboration with poet Oscar Pasteur, who himself was in the camp. So I'm going to read now her words. My mother herself had been deported for 5 years to Ukraine simply because we were Germans living in Romania after World War II, which had a lot of consequences, which as a child I did not understand, but I felt them. As a child, I always thought of my mother as an old woman. I somehow was aware that she carried something around with her. I didn't know what camps were, and I didn't understand what deportation was, but I felt it. She was not the only one. Basically, everybody in the village who had survived the camps, it was a collective experience they all carried around with them. They were all peasants, and peasants don't talk about themselves. Besides, it was forbidden to talk about deportation in communist Romania. So, when I talked to my mother more recently, she always talked about the people in our village who had died, and I realized if I waited any longer, there will not be anybody left who can tell me about the camps. My mother herself never talked about the camps, only in recurring sentences that were immutable, always the same. She says things like, thirst is more painful than hunger, wind is colder than snow, one potato is like a warm bed. To her, potatoes were the basic food at the time. It could either save you or kill you. As a child, she showed me 100 times how to properly peel a potato. It had to be done in a way that the skin was peeled very thinly and all in one piece. Nothing had to be wasted. This was a very strange complicity with the potato. She wanted to protect the potato, which I didn't quite understand. We actually had quite enough potatoes, but every millimeter had to be preserved. There were many things that oppressed me as a child. Her way of eating was very strange to me. She ate very fast, standing up, not sitting down. It was uncanny. There were lots of things. For example, I had long braids when she combed me, and she'd always tell me the story how her head had been shaved in the camp. I wanted to cut my hair so I wouldn't have to listen to that story one more time. But as far as Oscar Pasteur is concerned, my collaborator, we both lived in Berlin as immigrants, and I knew that he had been deported too. And I wanted to talk to someone who could really tell the story, because the peasants in the village were shy, embarrassed to talk about themselves. It was not part of their being. Thank you.
I'm the same with that healing thing. That's weird. Okay, so we've got a few more fabulous artists, so we bring the night to the close. So I'm going to keep my talking to a minimum so we can get everybody away in good time, and maybe just have a few more snacks and beverages over there, and stuff that ballot, and then we need to call the raffle at the end as well. So I have a quote here from Margaret Fuller, who was the first full-time female book reviewer, actually, and that was in the 19th century, and she said, "It is a vulgar error that a love to woman is her whole existence. She is born for truth and love in their universal energy." That's it. The next artist is Dana Peledine, who is honouring the nation of Russia, where Dana was born, and the Russian poet Marina Tsvetaeva.
Very good, yeah. Hi everybody, so I'm honouring, she said it beautifully, Marina Tsvetaeva, who was an outstanding Russian female poet. One of the best of the 20th century. She had a very dramatic life, and it's very much reflected in her work. I'm going to be reading her poem called An Attempt at Jealousy. How is your life with that other one? Simpler, is it? A stroke of the oars and a long coastline, and the memory of me is soon a drifting island, not in the ocean, in the sky. Souls, you will be sisters, sisters, not lovers. How is your life with an ordinary woman, without the god inside her, the queen supplanted? How do you breathe now? Flinch, waking up? What do you do, poor man? Hysterics and interruptions. Enough, I'll rent my own house. How is your life with that other you, my own? Is the breakfast delicious? If you get sick, don't blame me. How is it living with a postcard? You who stood on Sinai. How's your life with a tourist on Earth? Her rib, do you love her? Is it to your liking? How's life? Do you cough? Do you hum to drown out the mice in your head? How do you live with cheap goods? Is the market rising? How is kissing plaster dust? Are you bored with her new body? How's it going with an earthly woman with no sixth sense? Are you happy? No? In a shallow pit. How is your life, my beloved? As hard as mine with another man. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Donna. We've just got a couple more Be Bold for Change statements to read out, so then we're honouring the legacy of International Women's Day by doing this. So you can also be bold by championing women's education, and you can launch or fund a women-focused scholarship, encourage more girls into STEM education. What, does anyone know what that is?
Science, technology.
Don't believe in that. Not for girls. Vow. You can value diversity for greater educational outcomes, support women inventors of new products and services, celebrate women researchers discovering new knowledge, and learn to code. Which I was thinking of doing that. Maybe. Fabulous. Oh, right, it's Scotland next. I'm a bit Scottish, so I feel this is one of my favourites. So we have Helen Macmillan, who is also a veteran of the Salon symphony scene, who is honouring Scottish writer Rona Munro. Welcome, Helen.
Hello. So the scene I'm going to read today is from the first play in the James Play cycle by Rona Munro. Have you all heard of the War of the Roses? Yeah. These are not about that. These are actually about 3 Scottish kings, all named James, James the 1st, 2nd and 3rd of Scotland, who were all alive during around the same time, so often they don't really get a look in. Rona Munro was commissioned to write these plays for the National Theatre of Scotland, and when Rona Munro writes plays, then you can be pretty confident that she will take a story about these 3 strapping men here and write some fucking great female characters. So, the scene I'm going to read is between 2 of these female characters. It's actually the first time they meet. The first is Joan, the English noblewoman who has just found out that she's to be married off to King James I of Scotland. And the second is Meg, a chambermaid who's been sent to Joan as a gift from her intended. And because I am a relentless overachiever, I'm going to play both characters, trying to differentiate with dialects. What's the best thing? The best thing about home? You can understand folk better, what they say. But will I? Well, you make me out well enough, don't you? And the skies are bigger. How? Well, there's more light in them. And you can see high enough into them. And the fish is fresher. Oh, I hate fish. Well, that's because you eat 5-week-old herrings with salt. Our fish tastes like sweet white bread and clear water. And the dancing's better. How? More... Nobody sits down when the music starts going. You dance the soles off of your shoes. Oh, I miss the dancing. Maybe I do want to go home. I do want to go home. Will you go, lady? Will you say yes? I'll understand the people. You'll know what they mean. There will be rowan trees and tall skies and fresh silver fish and dancing. And King James will love you like you're the Queen of Heaven itself all the days of your life. So we can sit in the 2 towers of our castle, the sun and the sky, but no, I can't promise you sun. No, not every day. There's usually some nice weather about September when you've given up on there ever being any sun ever again. That's nice for ripening the brambles, and they're delicious. And he'll wave from his tower, and I'll wave from mine, and sometimes in the evenings we'll meet under the moon in the courtyard below, if the winds know in the east, and dance all night. That's definitely possible. And eat rowan jelly and bramble jam. I do love a bit of bramble jam. So will you do it? Will you marry him? I'm getting old. I'm 17 already. But I might have a better marriage. I don't know, I heard them talk about convents. And that would kill me. It's not what I would want to end my days. Not what I was hoping for when they put me in your service, my lady. Shall I marry him then? I can live without figs. I can't get by without drinking and dancing, not when death comes so soon. Then I'll do it. Oh, then you'll be my queen, my lady. All the days I'm alive. Thanks.
Thank you, Helen. Honouring Rona Munro from Scotland now. Our next country to be honoured is the Ukraine. But before we do that, I have an inspirational Women's Day quote from Aung San Suu Kyi. And she says, "In societies where men are truly confident of their own worth, women are not merely tolerated, but valued." Take note. So our next wonderful artist is Sofia Roma, Dr. Sofia Roma, who is honouring Lina Kostenko, a poet from Kiev in Ukraine. Sofia.
Happy International Women's Day. Actually, I hate the stage. I'm a poet, and my colleague is in the audience, Dana Paleda Murphy, and she would have done better justice to my performance, but I'll try. I'm wearing my grandmother's Ukrainian shawl and my grandfather's leather pants. No, just
Where'd you get the boots?
The boots are no, thanks, Peggy, thank you. So Lina Kostenko is alive and well, and she's 80 years old. But I'm honoring her today. My grandmother was born in Dnipropetrovsk, and my mother was as well, and that's in the Ukraine. And Lina Kostenko was a beautiful poet, and she was part of the Шестидесятники, which means the 60s. It was a 60s generation of very profound poetry, kind of like after the Silver Age. It was really lovely, and she wrote some poems that disturbed the Soviet regime, which is not surprising. And she had, after she had published 3 compilations of poems, books of anthology, she actually was silenced by the Soviet regime because she would not succumb to them. So today I honor her for that. And I wrote a poem, so bear with me. It's called An Ode to Lina Kostenko. In silence love is war, the art of passion by the wicked hours torn, and in the mist of lilac scents, her sultry arms above my breasts are heaven sent. Engaging in the art of weaving fairy tales, her violet, violent eyes still. There is that pain of mouths toiling with heat, which in my heart the misery of doomed compatriots instill. The glamour of her ardent will, recalling those who pass in solemn woe, in life as if in death we hear for them the mournful church bells toll. Come gaze, beyond the silver wings of sugared sky, the image of my lovely Lina floating high. Above the emeralds, way past the burgundy of fall, a merciless kiss that cheapest soldier without her permission stole. The charcoaled ink from shaking hand to sturdy page restores the wit of her tormented glory days, which she had spent in rage. O Lina, wait for solitude of velvet nights, upon which comrade Stalin may encroach, but shan't intrude, albeit it depends on his sickle's mood or on your loyalist party attitude. Us poets, we break bread with bandits, thieves, and whores, recounting our burdensome lyric tales atop of rusty locomotives. Unveiling stories stitch by stitch in heightened pitch, our drama set with the confined, bloodshot prison walls. Still in that wake of golden years, a vibrant turquoise thread of poetry remains. The salvaging of verse, we walk in chains, pawing this wounded earth, a broken melody of verse. The one who once had so inspired us is exiled now, and we're forbidden to cross the warrior's path. A woman is forever born to shame. The sinner and the inmate are her steadfast friends. The strength of men, so out of reach it hurts, Even the atheists are converts. When dangling off the strings of her poetic discourse, while verbal intercourse in our land is always under scrutiny, of course. Our brash and Brandon comrades, those fallen, wounded perverts frame their own outspoken universe. I think a line or two, when shared between the lovers, never hurts. Our honor, which we've smoked and burst like cigarettes, the blasphemy of making love to yet another flimsy skirt under false pretenses. And all the while, one poet slowly rises to a brighter fame above the other. Perhaps it's wrong when the authorities demand that you rat out your brother. You've overheard an innocent girl who lived next door ridiculed a slut, lest we forget that humans covet, and that one day that girl who's spawned of smut grows up to be the queen of mean, or worse, a worship monarch's mother. The longing that I have for Lena's talent is quite metered, tempered by this vengeful autumn rain. Oh, I must refrain from tipping down memory's lane. The Lena of my soul retains the captivating emblem of my forlorn home, roaming lost somewhere, that shoeless, tattered, frantic child among the black and blue of Eastern European woods gone wild. In edgy, archaic Ukraine, for on a stifling summer day, soaked in misty twilight, wailing by the soiled and broken window pane, my grieving grandmother will reach for me with warmth and chivalry, and there my Lena waits me. All should be utterance of peace in whiteness to the subtle shades of blissful and rewarding harmony. There where the manic demons and the blighted witches cease to judge, I can see Lena leave the warlords in the dust, only to bask in her deserved molasses liberty. Then from that sacred place of rest, no longer shall we outcast poignant poets be debased.
Beautiful scarf. So we've just got a couple more artists left on this International Women's Day 2017. And we have one more Be Bold Change statement, which is to celebrate women's achievement, which seems appropriate after all of the inspiration that we've had this evening. And you can do that by raising women's visibility as spokespeople in the media, driving fairer recognition and credit for women's contributions, launch even more awards showcasing women's success. Yeah, that sounds good, especially if they're financial. Hail the success of women leaders. Applaud social, economic, cultural and political women role models. Celebrate women's journey and the barriers overcome. Reinforce and support women's triumphs, which is what we're all doing tonight at Salon sYmphoNY. So thank you very much, everybody, for being part of this very important event. Which, of course, is in New York City, where International Women's Day originated 108 years ago, and yet we haven't really properly honoured America that much yet. We're about to do that right now with an artist that doesn't really need any introduction, and a younger artist who very soon will not need very much introduction because she's awesome. The artist being honoured for USA is the one and only Maya Angelou, and she is being represented by Tadar Jackson.
Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. And when I try to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. Why, it's in the stretch of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. I am woman, phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me. I step into a room as cool as I please. As for the men, the fellows either stand or fall down at their knees. They swarm around me, a hive of honeybees. I say it's the fire in my eyes, the flash of my teeth, the swing of my waist, and the joy of my feet. I am woman, phenomenally. Come on now, phenomenal woman. That's me. Men even find themselves wondering what they see in me. Men even find themselves wondering what they see in me. They try so much, but they can't touch my inner mystery. I try to show them, but they say they just can't see. I say, it's the arch of my back, the sun of my smile, the ride of my breast, the grace of my style. I am woman, phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me. So now you understand just why my head does not bow. I don't need to shout or jump about or talk real loud. When you see me passing, I ought to make you proud. I say it's the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palm of my hand, the need for my care. I am woman, phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me.
Thank you to our phenomenal women we've seen this evening. One more left, so make the most of her. She's also a fabulous artist who also participated in Victoria Wood event just before Christmas, honouring another great working woman. Who's you, the hairdresser? Yeah, Madeline. But she's a wonderful actress and an artist as well, honouring the great nation of Wales. It's Amy Scanlon, who will be honouring Gwyneth Lewis. Amy Scanlon.
This is a short excerpt of a Gwyneth Lewis poem. She was poet laureate and speaking out for Wales and love. I have said already, I won't feel well till this poem is finished. And I find what I mean about health and loving. It's a hospital, this place that I'm constructing, line by line, with clinics in it and sunlit rooms open to anyone. Words are my health. The struggle to hear and transcribe the tune behind what I'm giving by my word of mouth. It's the only work that can make me immune to lying. May my language gene grant my hemoglobin and my platelets potency deep inside my bone marrow. My safety lies with other poets who have shown the way that they look through their shadows. Milton, Villian, be with me now. I want to capture what it is to care for someone you love who is very ill, and how quickly you age as you see them suffer. You'd do anything to make them well, but you can't. Now help me, Virgil. Give me the strength of your long sinews to capture that brave but painful smile that couples exchange when they both know the score. Help me to draw on wells that are clean and kind and plentiful. What do you say when someone you love is dying and there's nothing you can do to stop it from happening, and you're alive and well and no way near through loving them? You can't follow. One body's never enough, and my reach is long. But of one thing you can be sure, I'll never give up on this endless search for you, and it's my only cure, to touch you. And yes, stranger, I mean you.
So that's it. We've symphonied our hearts out. I hope you had a nice time. It's been very inspiring for me. It's always amazing to see so many women artists in the here and now and honouring women artists from history and all around the world. It's really a treat to behold. We'll have 15 minutes so you can have a little bit more raffle time, voting time, just in case you didn't completely cheat and you wanted to wait to see the second half, then you can vote for those people as well. And then we'll announce the vote in 15 minutes from the stage, so we invite you just to maybe sample a bit more of the bake sale and any drinks, and then we'll make those announcements about the vote and the exciting raffle, so you two could be going home with a pussy on your head this evening. That's fun, isn't it? And I'll leave you with the words of the inimitable Margaret Atwood, who said, "Does feminist mean large, unpleasant person who will shout at you? Or someone who believes women are human beings?" To me, it's the latter, so I sign up. So thank you, audience. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you to our wonderful artists, Rahi, Christine, Mar, Laura, Julianne, Andrews, Sophie, Liz, Antigone, Fiona, Eleanor, Asako, Luciti Toki, Jay and Young, Valeria, Hunane, Ella, Donna, I never get your name, I've known her for such a long time. Helen, Sophia, Tadar and Amy. And thank you also to our wonderful helpers this evening, to Ingrid, our stage manager, Dahlia, our technical director, Maureen, Grace, Barbara, Amy, Peggy, Crystal, Alex, Maggie Cousins over in England, who does our fantastic artwork and graphics for us. And thank you to Matt and Craig, who are the only men on this list. They're our honorary penises for the evening, of the Episcopal Actors Guild, who've hosted us so generously tonight. And thank you also to the founder of the International Women Artists Salon, Heidi Russell, without whom any of this